6 reasons why you need a Greenworks 10-inch pole saw. Now there's a few options when it comes to pole saws. You have the old traditional manual kind, where it's like a pole with a saw blade on it. I didn't really want that. Second option is a gas one, and the gas is fun and it's practical. However, if you don't use it a lot, then you got to worry about the gas going bad, got to worry about maintenance on the motor, and they cost a little bit more than say an electric or a corded one. Then you have battery powered ones, and the battery powered ones are nice, but in the past I had a pole saw that was battery powered, and I got 90% of the work done, and then the battery died, and I only needed it for 5 more minutes, so then I had to charge it. And I didn't have an extra battery, and if you want to buy an extra battery, that's probably another $100 or $60 depending on the brand of the battery. And I don't have any other battery powered yard tools, and so I don't have a brand that I could switch multiple batteries between multiple different tools. So I went ahead and went with the corded option. Now the corded option may not be the best for everybody, but I have a pretty small yard and I have enough extension cords where I can make the corded option work. Now, if you have a really big yard or a lot of terrain to cover, you'll probably want a gas-powered or a battery-powered one with extra batteries. 6 reasons why you need a Greenworks 10-inch pole saw. 1, this has a pretty heavy-duty motor. It's a 7-amp motor, and I was cutting some 8-inch thick branches off of a tree without any issue. It wasn't really dying, it wasn't slowing down, it just like chugged right through it. Number 2, this thing is very convertible. So you attach the pole into the back, and you have a pole saw, and so you can cut off all the branches of the tree, and then when you're done, just remove the pole, and now you have a chainsaw to cut up the branches into smaller sections. So the convertibility is a game changer on this. You don't want to have 2 different tools. You have 1 tool, and it just plugs in, and you are ready to cut the branches off the tree and then cut them up once they're on the ground. That's also important if you just have some other small tasks around the house. You just need a little chainsaw. Number 3, it has a lightweight telescoping pole, and so when you unthread that, you get about an extra foot of reach. So you can collapse it down if needed, or if you want maximum reach, pull it out and then tighten up the collar. Pretty easy. So it's a 9-foot extension pole, and depending how tall you are will determine kind of your maximum reach. So for me, I'm not quite a 6-footer. I'm like 5'11", and having it back at an angle, getting it up, I was able to reach up about 12 and a half feet safely. Now, if you go straight up, which is not exactly the safest way to cut with a saw, I could probably have gotten 13 and a half feet. Number 4, it does have a 10-inch bar, and the chain has a 40 tooth count, and it's a great size. I mean, you don't want anything a lot bigger way up above your head. So yeah, like I said, I was cutting 8-inch thick tree branches, and it was cutting it just fine. Number 5, it has an auto chain oiler. So that's what this little reservoir is right here. You unthread the cap, pour some bar and chain oil in there, and it just takes standard bar and chain oil that you can get at the hardware store. And as you can see, it'll auto feed it, and whoops, sorry, flipped you off. But you can see you got some oil residue around where the chain is driven. As far as capacity, I can't remember the exact capacity is, but I filled it up and I cut up a ton of branches, and I still have some oil left in there. So if you have a pretty big project, if you buy like a quart bottle of that bar and chain oil, fill this up, you should be able to go a few hours on this reservoir. And number 6, the chain is pretty easy to tension. So essentially what you're gonna do is you're gonna unthread, you guys like my little pink Band-Aid? So anyways, you loosen this up, and then right over here is the screw, where you take a screwdriver and you tighten it up, and it'll tighten this chain. And whenever you get it to the tension that you want, you just tighten this back up. So it's pretty easy, because what will happen is over time this will loosen up and your chain will get quite a bit of slop in it, and you don't want that. So it's pretty easy to adjust. So I just went through the 6 reasons why I believe this pole saw is a great value. And right now on Amazon, at the time of filming this, it's only like $99 for the set. But there are some things that you should probably be aware of if you do purchase it. It's not deal killer, but just be aware of it. So first thing to be aware of is this chain was dull out of the box. I mean, it was barely cutting anything. And so I went to Lowe's and picked up an Oregon brand chain, which I'm sure you can get a Greenworks one. It's probably more expensive. But I got the Oregon brand and got the correct specs. I'll post them on the screen here, what they are. And put it on, and replacement was pretty easy. I mean, you essentially unthread this cover comes off. I'm doing this one-handed, so. And then you essentially, just take the chain off. And then when you go put the bar back on, you want to, there's this little guy right here. You want to make sure you get it lined up with that hole. That's where the tensioner, you can kind of see the tensioner screw. So anyways, you put it all back together. Sorry, I'm doing this one-handed. Get it back on there like that. There you go, got it back. And then you put the cover back on and just tighten this down, or get it snug, and then come back and get your screwdriver and adjust the tension and tighten this back up. Pretty easy. So really, before I could even use it, I had to spend, I think it was 15 bucks on a new chain. Second thing to be aware of is you kind of have to manhandle it to get the pole in. So one, you essentially pull this up, that's the lock, and then you open this little door, and you slide the pole in. There's a little keyway for the pole, and it's easier just to lay it down, because if you're trying to do it by holding it, it's a little tough. But you have to kind of hold onto this to keep it from moving. You have to hold this door up, and then you got also with another hand, if you have 3 hands, push the pole in place until it engages, and then you lock it. Another thing to be aware of, which is not unusual to any chainsaw, is you will get a little seepage out this reservoir cap and around the chain and bar area. So when you store it, you may want to store it on a piece of cardboard or in a tray so it doesn't get oil everywhere. It doesn't like leak out a big puddle or anything, but if you set it on a piece of wood or something that you want to be nice, it's going to leave a little oil spot. And one last thing, you want to be careful. You have it plugged into a 120 volt power source. Make sure you use a heavy duty extension cord, but also when you're cutting, you want to make sure that you don't come down onto the cord if it happens to be coiled up next to you. So just be aware of that. So what do you think? Should I have bought a battery powered or a gas powered pole saw? Do you think this is a pretty good value for the money? Let me know in the comments.